Hi. Hi, healing fam. Hi, healing friends. Let's see. Let me put, let's see. Have you ever experienced stonewalling, silent treatment, and or feel your partner resents you? Okay. In your relationship. So today my live is gonna center on healing from breakup. That's what I talk on my page. Healing fam, healing friends. Thank you for joining me this afternoon on my live. I have a poll going asking if you ever experienced silent treatment, if you ever experienced stonewalling in your relationship. And how did that feel like? Did you feel anxious? Did you feel panicky? Especially if you're baseline anxious attachment style. And if you're with a partner who might be an avoidant or both of you have trauma history. Do you understand what trauma is? Small t trauma, big T trauma, trauma over the course of your life, childhood trauma. Hi from India. Oh, it's nighttime. It's afternoon here. Still sunshine. Can see the sun in my face. Thank you for checking me out. Hi, this is your mother's friend. She's all of you. Oh, what? Okay. Anyway, thank you for joining my live today. In UK, any kind of fracture or something, I'm going to call an ambulance. Oh, okay. So sorry that you had a fracture. Oh, from heaven. Okay. Anyways, the poll is going. Um, would you stay in a relationship where you're experiencing silent treatment? So silent treatment in a therapeutic space is a manipulative tactic that's geared towards silencing you, right? That's the goal. A lot of manipulators will use that tactic to get you to give in to whatever their needs is. So, how do you heal from a breakup when you've been experiencing silent treatment and stonewalling for days and days, weeks and weeks, sometimes even in some cases months. So everybody has different levels of tolerance levels when it comes to things like that. In my culture, where I come from, a lot of people will use those tactics in different types of scenarios, different types of relationship, even in parent-child relationships, to get the children or to get the child to do what the parents want them to do. So imagine a child does something that's not satisfactory to the parents, level of expectation. It's all about expectation. Instead of maybe taking a minute to communicate about the mishap, instead of communicating about the mishap, any fracture. All right. So instead of dealing with the mishap and talking about resolution, the mother or father might choose to just ignore the child, not talk to the child, or be cold. Give one sentence answers, be very blunt, not be forthcoming with love or attention or connection as a way to control that person. So stonewalling can also show up in intimate relationships where people will engage in such tactics in order to make you feel bad enough, to make you feel anxious enough, to make you panic enough for you to give in to whatever they're looking to get as a response. People like that have immaturity at the baseline. They lack the capacity or ability to communicate their needs and verbalize their needs and find a middle ground in a really fair approach. In my culture, where I come from in Africa, originally come from Ghana, this is a very common tactic. A lot of people who are experiencing this type of behavior, because it's a cultural thing, because a lot of people utilize this approach to get you to submit or to give in to whatever they are looking for, people might over time have developed a level of acceptance of it. But I'm here to tell you, the fact that you've had acceptance to it is a cultural, maybe norm to some degree, doesn't mean it doesn't impact you in the inside. So imagine as a child that's being done to you, you're gonna feel neglected. You're gonna feel like your needs are not important. And as you grow, that trauma becomes a reality in your own relationships. Either you start to not do that at all, or you can also start to take that on as your style to dealing with your partner. Silent treatment can really impact families and relationships in a detrimental way. Silent treatment in many cases has led to fragmentation and has led to a breakdown of relationships, has led to divorces in many cases, has led to relationships being high conflict because there's one person saying, oh my God, why can't you answer my message? Can you answer my message? Can you just tell me a yes, or say something to what my request is? And the other person is just like, ignore, not gonna answer, not gonna bother with you. You're there, but you're there as a piece of furniture, if you want to imagine that you're there, and they're not even trying to give you a text back as an answer. They're not giving you a call back. There are stories over time that I've come across of people texting. Even personally, I've experienced people using silent treatment as a way to gaslight, as a way to manipulate, as a way to get me to change my mind about maybe a choice or a preference that I made. Silent treatment is an epidemic, and it really can destroy a person's self-worth and self-esteem, because if you truly care about that person is not willing at all to want anything to do with resolving the issue at hand, and they just want to choose to ignore you. It can do a number to your internal system, including things like increasing your cortisol level, including things like having your inflammation level be very high in your internal system, having things happen to you, like being in fight or flight mode, making you feel on edge all the time, feel like something bad is about to happen because that partner is not answering. You might think, what are they doing? You can't read their minds. All you know is they are not minding you. They're really just disregarding you as a person. If you live in the same space, that person might come into the house, stomping, 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 and you're sitting there, they're just completely ignoring you. They're not even saying hi, or they're leaving the house. They're not saying, oh, hey, hi, bye, I'll see you, or giving you a hug or a kiss. In many cases, a lot of people experience silent treatment. Might experience that partner or that person in their lives, not even giving them any positive affirmation, not giving them any compliments. They just treat you as though you don't exist. And it's the most painful. If you ever experience silent treatment in your life, either from a parent, from a friend, from a partner, silent treatment from even from a boss, all of a sudden your boss is cold, is distant. Like all of a sudden, maybe a week ago, you send an email or something, you didn't hear back from them, they're not responding either directly to you or responding to anything. They're not making it, like a point to say, oh, hey, I'm sorry I missed that email. Because, hey, as life be lifing, an email can easily be missed, or a text can easily be missed, or a call can easily be missed. You're like, oh my God, I'm meaning to get to you, but I'm not giving you a silent treatment. I'll get to you in a minute. I got overwhelmed. I got sidetracked. I had too many things on my to-do list. Forgive me, but I'll get to you. I'll give the answer you need. This is what healthy looks like. Healthy will look like, what are you talking about? Like just completely gaslighting you to think that something is wrong with you for you to want to receive a simple answer from them. The most basic, simple answers from them feels like you have to drag it from them. It feels like you're walking on pins and needles all the time, whether it's at work, with the boss, at home, with your intimate partner, with a sibling, with a friend. Like silent treatment can truly, truly be detrimental to your mental health and to your physical health. Imagine over time, you have constantly have increased level of cortisol, because you're constantly having high inflammation, because you're constantly feeling like you're walking on eggshells, your anxiety and your panic levels is high, because you're like, well, there's work. You're like, am I going to lose my job? Like, why is my boss quiet? Why is he not answering? Why is he not saying anything to me? Why didn't he answer my email? Why didn't he return my call, or leave me a message to say I'm not in trouble? Imagine yourself being a 5 or 6 year old version of yourself, and you've done something, and your parents is literally not even like minding you. You might be crying. Maybe they have you under punishment. You did something that maybe might not be right, and the parent is not telling you, hey, what you did was this and that and the third was wrong, don't do that again, this is how you handle it the next time. Or you're an intimate partner, maybe you had a disagreement, and you're seeking to resolve the disagreement, and your partner is just like complete ignore, not wanting to engage with you, not wanting to even look in your direction. You made a simple request for them to maybe text you back, to acknowledge it, even like a thumbs up, or saying okay. They'll refuse or completely ignore it. They're just not self-aware enough to even say, hey, it's okay. I will get back to you in the evening. I'll get back to you in the morning. I'll get back to you in a day. I need a minute. Like the partner is not even telling you, hey, listen, I'm really overwhelmed right now. I'm not ignoring you, but I'll get back to you in a day. Give me a day, give me a 2 days. I'll get back to you. That's somebody who cares, who has empathy for you. And this is the work that I do in the therapeutic space. And when you finally have had enough of this type of treatment, there's nobody on this earth who's going to sit there and think it's okay for you to tolerate silent treatment for such a long time without you having the, if you don't have the self-confidence to even text that person and say like, hey, what's up? You've been quiet. And that person say, oh yeah, I really have been quiet. It seems I've been quiet, but I've been overwhelmed. I've been busy at work. I've been doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. All right, it's okay. I get it. I have times where I've been busy too. But that person, even when you request for them to be like, hey, why have you been cold? You've been distant, you've been different. Why haven't you answering my text messages? Like, I can't, I'm checking on you. Do you mind answering my XYZ? And they just, on top of you asking, they still ignore that text or call of you requesting just a simple, basic decency, human decency from them, and they will not. These are things that lead to breakup, or people leaving works, people leaving relationships, people going no contact or having modified no contact. So modified no contact can mean maybe you used to talk to that person every day to talking to that person maybe once a week or once a month, because the way that person treat you, manipulating you, gaslighting you, making you constantly feel bad about yourself, making you constantly make you second guess yourself, making you cry, making you wonder, making you feel confused, making you feel like you're constantly running away from the red bear. So I'll tell you the red bear story. And these are conditions, like I said, the conditioning of our cultures, the conditioning of our society for us to accept certain treatment as normal, the acceptance of toxicity as a normal way of dealing is what is ailing us in our mental health, in our physical health. Like if your mental health is not up to par, if you're suffering from depression, you're suffering from constant anxiety, you're constantly not sleeping, you're constantly not able to rest, you're on edge, you feel startled easily, you're feeling paranoid, you're checking your windows, checking and checking, you're sweaty, you're tight at the back of your neck, maybe even your hands might be cold constantly, you get irritable easily, you fly off the handle easily, you're angry all the time, you're just like checked out, like you're all of a sudden there and your mind is somewhere else. You constantly have a list of things playing in your head, you're ruminating. Well, that's what we call ruminating in mental health. You're constantly thinking and thinking, what did I do wrong? Oh my God, did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? You're constantly revving on your engine, your mind is on and on and on and on. You go to bed, you can sleep. Everything is quiet in your home. That's where your mind comes up. You're thinking and thinking, you're feeling bad, you're not resting, you're resting, like it's almost like you're wrestling. It's a battle in your mind. And sometimes in my culture, especially if you come from a churchy background, you're Christian or you're religious, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, I'm possessed, or the devil is after me. And another time, maybe, hey, spirituality is a real thing, but a lot of times those presentations can also be from trauma, being traumatized from childhood, being neglected, being stonewalled, being given the silent treatment, being not validated, being just like a fly in the wall in your home as a child. And then you grow to normalize that. Your nervous system starts to normalize the fact that you accept people treating you like that, people ignoring you, people not valuing you. And you feel afraid to set boundaries or speak up because as a child version of yourself, you've never had the capacity or audacity or had the courage to be afraid but speak up for yourself and say, no, this is wrong. No, I shouldn't be accepting of somebody ignoring me, mistreating me, stonewalling me, silent treatment me, when all I'm wanting to do is to have a fair agreement. But this is things that are truly so normalized in our societies, and truly, for me, it's disgusting. Like, it's so appalling when people choose to go to immature, low ways to dealing with conflict. That means you're not mature enough to really come to the table and resolve conflicts and deal with the maybe heaviness or whatever the conversation that has to look like, and you choose to just cut off people, distance yourself without even having a conversation. It takes a lot to sit and have those conversations, those heavy duty conversations, like with a parent, like going back to say to the parent, hey, mom and dad, the way you treated me when I was young was so not right. Like, you ignored me when I needed this and that because you're mad at me, because I didn't do something right, because I didn't respond to you the way you expected me to respond to you. You completely ignored me all my childhood. For the most part, you cared for me in a way where you provide food and maybe a roof over my head. But outside of that, everything else is just like, you're just a fly on the wall, like you're nothing to me. And the parents makes you feel that way, so your nervous system grows to accustom yourself to accepting people treating you like you're a fly on the wall, to accept stonewalling, silent treatment, and have this anxious attachment that if that person is not talking to you, if that person is not responding to you, knowing that it's not you, but it's a them thing, that's what they have used as a tactic and it's worked for them over the years, and being able to detach and distance yourself from that approach, either distance yourself both emotionally and physically. Sometimes you do have to remove yourself from people who are mistreating you, and mistreatment a lot of times is not just physical. That's the thing that we miss a lot of times. Mistreatment of people, of humanity, of close relationships is not physical. A lot of times it's a spiritual, manipulative, psychological warfare on you that you have grown to accept truly because you think you're nothing, because you've grown up believing you're a fly on the wall, you're nothing. And society makes you feel like, oh my God, what is wrong with that kind of approach? Or you can say things like, oh, they had trouble in their childhood, they were not loved, so that's how they treat me like that. Or they were having a bad day, so I deserve to be, not responded to in 2 or 3 days. They will come around to it when they're ready. Or, maybe they're having stress in their lives, and that's why they treat me that way. Who am I to set a boundary? Who am I to tell my preference? Who am I to tell them that the way they're treating me is all right when I've told them 1,000 times in the past that the way they're treating me is not okay, and they shut you up. And some of the ways to shut you up is to continue to even rev up the mistreatment with the silent treatment and the stonewalling in a higher realm. So you see things like, let's say they're posting people on social media. Let's say they are liking other people's posts. Let's say they are eating food, going out with friends and posting it on social media. They are eating, drinking, having fun. They are laughing, they are chatting. Oh, a lot of partners, intimate partners, do this a lot in my country. For example, you see them on social media, they are posting, they've been outside, joking, having fun with their friends, with their guy friends, especially guys in my culture do this a lot. You see them chatting on the phone, like just having a good old time, just chatting like no that they're having as soon as they come into the house, imagine you're in the house and they see you, all of a sudden they'll continue sometimes even chatting on the phone when they know they have not talked to you for a whole week, for a whole month, sometimes some cases in a year, years, and they'll continue that type of tactic because that person is immature. You have to know that, and lack the bandwidth or maturity or emotional capacity to resolve conflict. That's why it's so important to vet, and pick the right partner based on how they present and how their families also deal with conflict. So they come to the house, they're chatting on the phone, having a good old time. Okay? They see you, completely ignore you. They're not going to say, oh, hi, Gina. Oh, hi, Sarah. Oh, hi, Alma. Oh, hi, Kofi. Oh, hi, whatever. They just ignore you. They act like you are not even there. And you're like, you're not talking to me. We're in the same house. And yet you're having a good old time chatting to whoever you're chatting with, your friend. I see you posting on social media, and you're posting and seem happy, and you seem to be enjoying your life with other people, but when it comes to yourself, who you are in maybe intimate relationship with them, or maybe that's your parent, that's your sibling, that's your close friend, and they see you and they act cold and distant and detached. But this is, you have to know, this is psychological, spiritual warfare. And not only pray about it, but you need to do intentional, actionable steps towards that person. Because the more you harbor that feeling in your vessel, in the inside of you, especially if you're one who has anxious attachment style, who has empathetic, sweet spirit approach to life, who is very what's the word? Very loyal at the core, very trusting of people, and you're going to attach this crappy way of somebody treating you and be accepting of it, you're going to notice that you have trouble with, let's say, feeling tired all the time, feeling anxious all the time, being on edge all the time. You are now having what we call reactive abuse or reactive reactions, because now you're overwhelmed. You're so sick and tired of the way the person is talking or not talking to you, or not even acknowledging your messages, right? The person is completely ignoring you, completely ignoring you. And you have reached out a number of times to them and they're completely still ignoring you. And yet they seem to having a merry time with other people. You have to know it's not you, it's them. They have intentionally selected you as their target. Because some people get a rise out of getting any type of reaction from you, even if it's negative reaction. Sounds like my mother. Oh, yeah, mothers do this. Um, you're funny. You just said that in a previous video. Yeah, I did. I did that. This is my area of expertise. I talk about relational trauma. And one of the ways, thank you, Linda. Yes, follow me for more. One of the ways that we experience trauma, whether it's childhood or in our adult life or as we go, a lot of people come to see me as clients or patients because of some of these relational traumas they're experiencing in their immediate environment from mothers. There's a lot, it's called, thank you for sharing, Messi. It's called mother wounds. And when your mother is giving you silent treatment, a lot of mothers do this because they themselves have experienced trauma in their childhood. I bet you your mother, Messi, most likely also experienced silent treatment as a child. So they also have grown to see that that works or worked on them. And as much as they didn't like it, funny to say, a lot of people start to, if they don't go to therapy, to really sit and heal and look at their patterns and look at their familial and generational patterns to see, oh, this is the thing that my dad does. This is the thing that my mom does. This is the thing my sibling does. This is the thing my uncle does. This is the thing my neighbors or aunties do when they have conflict. They use silent treatment. They don't resolve conflict. They're passive aggressive, they're abrasive, they're aggressive, they don't respect boundaries. Heck, they don't have boundaries, they don't respect boundaries, they don't even know what boundaries. They lack awareness of what boundary means. And if you bring up the issue of boundary to a parent, especially to an African parent, and I'm where I'm come from, like, who are you? Like, it's just like you're too much for yourself to even expect for you to have a preference in regards to boundaries. It's very traumatizing and demoralizing, truly. Excuse me while I wet my whistle a little bit. Now, I also want to implore you to know that a lot of people, especially when they avoid talking about issues, especially issues surrounding intimate partner issues, right? Coming to an agreement. Like, being in a relationship, it's okay for both partners to be have their own paths, have their own dreams and visions. And periodically, at least every quarter, that's what I encourage my clients to do. At least every quarter, come to the table in a relationship as if it's a business. Every quarter, meet up and find, where are we going? What are our individual goals and what are our mutual goals? But if you're a partner who is silent treatmenting, who is giving you the silent treatment or stonewalling you and not engaging, not communicating at any level at all, how are you even going to have this type of partnership where you are having discussions about where you're going individually and as a couple or as a group or as a team or as a family? If that's not happening, the other person is just like wanting to do the relationship however they see convenient, or when they feel convenient, or when they feel like they're ready, then they just like want you to engage, and when they don't want to, they just like ignore you. You cannot do relationship like that. It's just gonna eat you up. And some people, they can tolerate that level of dysfunction. But when you see the pattern and you notice the pattern and you're like, this is not working, I cannot tolerate this level of dysfunction or toxicity. Like, how do you even talk about finances, for example? The number one thing that drives a wedge in relationship, especially intimate relationship, is finances. Like, being finances. And if this person is silent treatment, giving you silent treatment, is distance, is cold, is giving you one word answers, and you're there, you're like, oh my God, I don't even know how the bills are being paid, what is allocated to this or that, how many hours should we both be working in order to satisfy paying the bills, how many are we allocating to savings for the future, how we are allocating to our own endeavors, how we taking care of the children if you have children, how we paying for their clothing, how we paying for their schools, how we advocating and allocating funds towards our self-care and our education so we can build a legacy together, and this person is unwilling to engage with you at any level. Like I said, 99% of divorces are brought up because of finances, because of lack of communication about finances, or one partner just want to have their way and just want to do them, especially when it comes to intimate partnership with a male within a heterosexual relationship. Because what happens is, you have children, a kid or two, your life as a woman tremendously changes, because now you have to not only make time for yourself, but also make time for the children. And if you're making time for the children, guess what? That takes away from the time that you need to work to be able to have enough savings comparable to your partner, or for you to even save up for your future. And if your partner is unwilling to sit and using silent treatment on you and using stonewalling on you to avoid communicating about finances, to avoid discussions about your individual goals and your mutual goals as a partnership, this relationship anyway. This is where a lot of women will come to me for client and be like, oh my God, Gina, I've been in this relationship, I've been doing, should I go, should I stay, should I go, should I stay, because my partner will not communicate with me, will not answer my, even a simple text, will not answer my emails. What do you do? So you're asking me, what do you do when you recognize that this is a manipulative tactic to keep you stuck, to keep you quiet, to keep you silenced, to keep you in an anxious state all the time where you're not discussing anything? And the relationship seems to be in limbo. It's a work-related relationship, it's a parental relationship, it's a sibling relationship, it's a intimate relationship. Listen, silent treatment and stonewalling is so detrimental that it leads to intimate partner violence, like domestic violence, because one partner is like, you're like twist up in a pretzel, you're like, Oh my God, why are you not answering my texts? Why are you not answering my calls? Why are you not telling me this and that and the other? Where are you? Where have you been? You're not communicating to me where you are. I'm seeing your friends post you, or you are posting your friends, yet me as your intimate partner, I have zero idea what's going on. And yet they're refusing to engage with you. No engagement. And you're just like, should I stay in this relationship? Should I stay? What kind of ship, whatever the ship is, you know, relationships can be different. Like I say, it can be parent-child relationship, work relationship, boss and employee relationship. It can be intimate partner relationship. It can be friendship, all the ships. So you are in it. Sibling relationship. And you're noticing your sibling, it's like completely acting. Are they overwhelmed? But why are they not communicating to you they're overwhelmed? That's the thing. That's the core. That's the meat. And me as an empathetic person, as a people pleaser person, maybe even as a person who might have history of trauma and trying to heal from your trauma, listen, this thing can leave you so fragile, discouraged, praying constantly for change when this person might not ever change because they've used silent treatment in the past and it's worked for them. Silent treatment, people use it over and over because it works for them. Because there are people who allow that to continue. There are people who will not stand up 10 toes down and say, not me. I don't accept silent treatment. I don't accept you treat me anyhow and think that I'm going to sit in it and continue the same way we are before. I'm not going to continue to beg to get simple answers from you. Because relationship is not something that should be where you are in it constantly begging. But this is like, especially in my culture, a lot of women and children are made or silenced because if they stonewall you long enough, if you distress long enough about the stonewalling, and you start having faith and hope about the fact that, oh, maybe in the future, maybe when they are less stressed, maybe when their trauma is not impacting them as much, maybe when they make more money, maybe if I'm quiet enough, maybe if I dress more, maybe if I lose weight, maybe if I take care of myself better, maybe if I pray more, maybe if I'm more submissive, maybe if I'm more quieter, maybe then they will not do silent treatment on me. Maybe they'll start the silent treatment. But no, a lot of times it escalates from silent treatment, from stonewalling, to calling you names, to emotional abuse, verbal abuse, spiritual abuse, because now you're asking them to respond and they don't want to respond because they don't respect you like that. So when you notice that being a pattern for them, when you notice that that's the pattern in their families, this is why I do the work I do with my client. You sit long enough to say, what am I experiencing? I'm constantly in fight and flight mode about this person. This person prefers to be with their friends, maybe with their guy friends better than being with you, than being with the children, than spending time with the children. They want to spend time with you at their convenience. They're not taking you out for date night. They're not complimenting you. They're complimenting other people though. They will see another woman and undress them from head to toe. They'll see other women and compliment them. They'll post other people's birthdays. They'll post other people's achievement. But when it comes to your achievement, they will act silent. They will be quiet on it. They will not tell you, oh my God, you're doing such a great job. Actually, as a matter of fact, they will say, oh my God, what kind of thing are you doing over there? What do you think you're doing? They will laugh a smirky laugh. They'll give you a These are people who use silent treatment and stonewalling. Those people are hateful, very hateful, and as a matter of fact, many of those people can also be silently jealous of you. And you have to know that. You have to see that for what it is. And you have to be radically accepting of the fact that this is how that person rolls, and they will never change. A lot of time they will never change. It might take a life-changing circumstance for them to change. A lot of time they won't change because it works for them. Because when they do it long enough, a lot of people around them will eventually cave in. So it works. So why would they change? Eventually you will twist yourself, you will get yourself in a place where you succumb. You'll be like, okay, I'll just stop talking. I'll stop acting. And then but can you tolerate that? How is that impacting you? Everybody has different level of bandwidth. What's your bandwidth for this? I tell the story about the dolphins, right? The dolphin in their natural habitat will go. When they're hungry, they'll catch the fish or whatever prey they need to catch, and they'll eat it, satisfy themselves, whether it's snack, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But see, when a dolphin is in an aquarium, right, and it's being showcased, they'll have to do all types of twisting around and doing all kinds of tricks in order for them to get a simple treat. But when they're in a natural habitat, they don't have to do that. They gorgeously come over, open their mouth, they wrap. So are you in your natural habitat, or do you feel like in a dolphin, in an aquarium, you have to do all types of things? You're fasting, you're praying, which is all great, all tools in toolbox. I talk about that all the time. We need all the tools in the toolbox, right? We need therapy, we need healing, we need churching, we need praying, we need fasting. Heck, fasting is good for you spiritually, and it's good for your body for you to fast. Anyways, help you lose weight, it helps mental clarity, all the good stuff. You need massage, self-care, going for a walk, exercising, drinking your water, which, by the way, take a sip. But the thing is, when you get to the space where you're not accepting anymore of that level of mental labor in order to be in a relationship, that's where you'll be like, no, this is not working for me. I'd rather be in a small corner somewhere by myself where I have peace than to have to subject myself to this level of twisting myself like a pretzel in order to gain simple communication, basic human decency response from a person. But I think sometimes you gotta be at the place where you're sick of it. Like you gotta get to that place where you're sick of it enough to be like, no. And you're either remove yourself emotionally and sometimes physically you have to, or be accepting to change the way you relate to that person, even if you're choosing to stay. Like I say all the time, should I stay, should I go? Should I stay, should I go? If you're staying, stay well, is what I say. If that person is silent treatmenting you and you can tolerate it, at least after a little bit, they can respond a little bit. You can get a third party to get involved enough for you to get some type of response. Cool. Maybe you can stay and adjust and parallel the way you have contact with them. So you have a more modified way to be in touch with them instead of the direct excessive ways in which you're expecting them to respond to you. Because like I said, that dysfunctional way of dealing has worked for them in the past. See? But with you, especially in intimate relationship, in order to prevent intimate violence from happening, domestic violence from happening, conflict, chaos, dysfunction constantly, when this person doesn't know or doesn't like resolving conflict in a rational way, in a mature way, it's either they lack communication skills, they're immature, they're unaware, they lack the bandwidth to be in relationship. First of all, they need to spend time by themselves to heal, but they are in a relationship. And that speaks to the reason why you are with them in the first place and why you stay with them even though you recognize the red flags. So sometimes they put on the mask, right? They show up with the mask, but you're choosing to stay What does it say about you and your own traumas and your own attachment style to want to be codependent with this person? So if that person is okay, then you're okay. That's codependency. Or you have some type of limerence within you where you're imagining a potential of them being in an imaginative state with this person rather than being radically accepting of who they are, or afraid that you're gonna lose it, where you're gonna have like some major breakdown of yourself, like, and panic. Yes, it happens once because you're going through it from the breakup, or just the mere fact that you're just avoiding feeling that level of, it's called abandonment melange. Abandonment melange can be where that person is silent treatmenting you, stonewalling you, and you have such detrimental fear of abandonment that you feel like that person leaves, or if you speak up and that person leaves you or doesn't talk to you anymore, like your mother won't talk to you anymore, your father won't talk to you anymore, your sibling will not talk to you, or you will lose that job, or your intimate partner will leave you, or you might have to go through a separation or a divorce. Your abandonment melange is where you might get very anxious, very sad, depressed. You're swaying between those emotions, or even have rageful feelings, which it's justified sometimes the first few days or weeks when you go through a divorce or breakup. But if you're having these feelings like this is what your norm is going to be, that's where you need to come see me to talk, because certain feelings are normal depending on the level of things you're experiencing. Sometimes you're like, oh, we cannot have irritation or anger as a feeling. No, it's okay based on what you're experiencing to have irritability, have anger, have rage, even have rageful behaviors. But being self-aware to like, this is rageful. I need to do better. I need to go to therapy. I need to go counseling. Maybe I should talk to someone. Maybe I should talk to someone about this. See their perspective. Because sometimes we are in relationship with people who are just being there. They're there. They're cold. They are distant. You might be in the same bed with a person who is cold, who is distant, who is not engaged, who doesn't want to engage, who refuses to engage. And you are doing all the work. You're doing all the things. You're cooking, you're cleaning, you're washing, you're hooplatting, you're doing the thing morning, evening, and night. You're bringing their favorite snacks. You're catering for their families. I talked about a video recently where I did one on toxic mother-in-laws and mothers and aunties. Like, you're doing all the things to satisfy not just that person, but even their families, their surroundings. You're making sure everything is set up so perfectly, because your codependency cannot tolerate the fact that this person is not treating you well. This environment is not right for you, and for you to start to take the steps towards your own future to safeguard yourself and to safeguard your future. But you're so afraid of that abandonment, that having the abandonment melange, that you're completely in limerence. Like, limerence is when you're like imagining having some type of relationship with a person, whether the person is there physically or imagined. So you have a lot of type of like just in your head kind of thing. You're in a relationship with that person's potential. So months, years, you're there and still hoping for that person's potential to show up, where they might never show up in that potential. And are you willing to waste all those months, all those years, all those tears, all those crying, instead of using that energy on yourself? In my culture, stonewalling and silent treatment is so common, not just in intimate relationship, but in workspaces. And I know even here in the US, a lot of manipulative people use silent treatment and stonewalling and coldness and distance and unempathetic, passive-aggressive ways to manage people around them, to silence people around them, to make you feel like you're just a fly in the wall, to feel unseen. At the core of us as humans, we want to just be seen and we want to be loved. But if you are seeing that person and you are loving that person, that's not being reciprocated back to you, because relationship is, a sway, and you are staying in it. It's like you're gonna feel stuck. You're gonna feel so much distress over time. That trauma is gonna translate into depression. It's gonna translate into grief, and grief comes in so many different plethora of presentation and different times. Grief, you can feel okay today, and tomorrow you're in complete grief. You're crying, you're raging, you're angry about how the person is treating you. And I want to validate and affirm you that what you're experiencing or how you're feeling about that person giving you the silent treatment, and that person completely ignoring you, not validating you, not responding to you, not engaging, not willing to engage you. They want to have their way or the other way. Their way or no other way, I should say, not the other way. Yeah, the other way, which is their way. So, yes, I've gone on and on today for about almost an hour. I can go on and on. Let me see, make sure I didn't forget any points. So the thing to do is to work on detachment. Intentionally being stuck with that person is not going to do you any good. So start to have ways where you are detaching yourself, have your spirit of discernment, know that this person is literally your enemy. You're sleeping with the enemy. Own your story and work not just on your spirituality, your discernment, your faith walk, but also setting boundaries, adjusting your boundaries. Self-preservation comes with starting to look at it from that perspective. Praying and wishing it away. A lot of these people are not going to be, yes, prayer goes a long way, but sometimes you do have to take intentional, actionable steps to preserve yourself, to preserve your mental health, to preserve your physical health, to preserve your anxiety, your sleep, your people experience chronic pain issues, inflammation, lupus, losing their hair, losing their edges, losing their teeth, having hives on their skin, not sleeping, obesity. Heck, people experience cancers, lupus, fibromyalgia, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of a sudden having a widowmaker. We call it widowmaker or widower maker, where suddenly, boom, somebody drops dead. All because of chronically absorbing the stress of people being manipulative, using silent treatment. They're using toxic way to being in relation with you. But I'm here to tell you, to validate you, whatever you're experiencing or feeling from this person who doesn't seem like is the norm, when it feels like it's not the norm, use your discernment. When you go, what am I experiencing? For a long time, I feel so grateful to be able to find language to some of the stuff we experience. And for me, YouTube, TikTok, people sharing their stories, that's why there's such power in owning our stories, that I've found language. So when you find language for it, like some of the terms that I'm throwing around here, like silent treatment, stonewalling, gaslighting, what is it? Abandonment, melange, emotional neglect, spiritual neglect, abuse, what does it look like? Domestic violence, what does it look like? Financial abuse, what does it look like? Spiritual abuse, what does it look like? What else would I mean? I'm probably missing something here. Limerence, what is limerence? What is dating or being in a relationship with somebody and just being in a relationship for their potential? Put in language to it and know that with the patterns you're seeing, experiencing, oh, that's not okay. Knowing that, oh, this person is rejecting me, and knowing that rejection is preservation and not taking it personal. So don't personalize it. Don't internalize it. Work on detaching yourself from that feeling, because that person, like I said, lacking maturity, lacking ability to regulate themselves, lacking ability to resolve conflict, lacking ability to communicate. So you have to look at all of that and look at their families and how their families present and be like, it's not me, it's them. This rejection is not mine to take on, it's their issues. And knowing that if your bandwidth, your children's bandwidth cannot tolerate that, to take steps to actively not sit there and be like crying, saying, oh my God, I gotta tolerate this and I gotta pray about it, I gotta wait on it. No, take actionable steps. Either just go no contact, block them at all level. Like, I'm all about blocking, or do modified blocking, modified contact. Preserve yourself, because these are the things people come to see me for. As a nurse practitioner who has seen people both on the medical side and now see people on the psychiatric side, a lot of these issues are the things that cause people to have mental health and physical health issues. And we want, especially when you're a church culture, we pray to want it to go away. But sometimes you do have to be courageously able to take intentional, actionable steps to preserve yourself. Preservation is so important, because you have one life to live, and you at the center of it. People will make choices and all the decisions they want to make to, for themselves. You are okay, and it's okay for you to make those choices for yourself too. So as I get close to ending this life, thank you so much for checking me out and my life today. And if you are able to, 85% said yes, they have experienced silent treatment and stonewalling. Wow. 15% said no. I say this all the time. If you are lucky and blessed, I shouldn't say blessed. Even if you're experiencing silent treatment and stonewalling, you're still blessed. Because guess what? You're blessed to learn the lessons. It's in the lessons. The lessons, to not sit there and wish it away, to pray it away, to fast it away, to cook your way out, to sex it away, to people please yourself away. Because you are the one who is gonna be at the detriment of not sticking up for yourself, being so afraid to speak up for yourself, and being crazy. And people are like, oh, she's the crazy one. No, it's because you are reacting. It's called reactive abuse, because you've taken it. You're like, oh, I can't. This is too much. So if you're like that 15% who have never experienced silent treatment or stonewalling, I clap for you. But if you ever experience it, thank you for being this live. You know what to do, because you recognize it. It's all about recognizing and putting language to it. Listen, 20 years ago, I said 15 years ago, I did not even know what anxiety or what PTSD, small T trauma and big T trauma, is or looks like. All I know is veterans are the ones who experience trauma. Veterans come home and they're experiencing all this grief, all these changes in their psyche, because trauma changes your mind. A lot of people who do stonewalling and silent treatment, they themselves have trauma, just so you know, but they're not willing to work on healing. And that's why they perpetrate the re-traumatizing you, re-traumatizing your children, re-traumatizing you at work, all of it. You are in this journey for yourself. The 85% of us who have experienced silent treatment and stonewalling at any level, whether through childhood, as adults, all of it, you have experienced this, like silent treatment and stonewalling. If you ever been in a relationship with someone who uses those tactics, in my country, they say they will show you pepper. Like, it's like, so that person is just feeding you ginger and pepper all mixed together. You're feeling the heat. But either you're going to avoid trying to say anything because you don't want conflict, you're walking on eggshells, or you say something and it turns your whole conflict. Like, this person just all about drama. It's all about conflict. It's all about them just doing constants like in the fall where they're just blowing the leaves, and it's like you put the leaves together, they blow it. You put the leaves together, they blow it. They put the leaves together. Or like that dolphin where you're like twisting and twisting. You're like, you're like, I'm tired. This is a lot. And then you run to your pastor, pray for me, pastor, pray for me. Listen, sometimes you got to take intentional, actionable steps beyond praying. Praying is a great tool in your toolbox, but you do have to do it afraid. You do have to take some steps. If you're being stonewalled, you ever being stonewalled, you definitely have trauma. And you can heal your trauma. Sometimes talking in therapy, for many of us after a while, for me, it just makes me feel dizzy. I talk about the same thing over and over. Sometimes, okay, you do therapy a little bit, but you got to do the other things, like going to the gym, drinking your water, eating wholesome foods, losing weight, setting boundaries, self-preservation, preserving rest, prioritizing sleep. If it means you need something to help you sleep, call me. Prescribe you something, even if for a short term, so your body can rest and heal. When I used to work in ICU, we intentionally put people under using sedation so their bodies can heal, however long it would take for them to be on life support. What is your life support? What is your source? I know prayer, a lot of us who are prayerful and believe in prayer is one tool. But what else are you doing while you're on life support? When we have patients on life support, we have them on sedation to rest their body so they can heal. But at the same time, we are giving them antibiotics, antifungals. We are doing the surgery. We are debriding the wounds. Like when the wound is there, we are scraping it out so it can heal. So are you scraping your wound, your emotional wounds? You got to scrape it out. You got to be able to have the conversations. Look at what relationships you're in and say in 2025, we are in January, we're almost getting to the end. When are you debriding those wounds? Are you looking at it? Are you having those conversations? Or are you just praying and fasting and wishing it away? Sometimes it's scary to take those decisions, but you have one life to live. And once you believe that and know that there's abundance and believe in abundance, that there's millions and billions of people on this earth. And if you leave that one person or you modify the way you relate to that one person, there's so many open doors that can come your way, but will come for you to have that abundance mindset and start to cultivate those abundance mindset as a tool for you to start to adjust and pivot your life. But I'm saying to you that these things are real. And until you have experienced the 85% of us who have experienced toxic relationships, people who use stonewalling, silent treatment, distancing, sabotaging, manipulation, gaslighting, love bombing you, discarding you, abandoning you, neglecting you, projecting on you, making you second guess yourself, shaming you, guilt shaming you, making you cry, making you feel less than, you just gotta get to the point where you're unbothered. But part of being unbothered is for you to recognize it and start to heal. And like I said, healing is not only therapy. Sometimes we talk therapy is important too, but the work has to be radically looking at things like your finances. Where are you with it? What do you need to be doing? Paying off your debt, working on your credit, and not being ashamed to say, okay, I'm working on my credit. If this bank doesn't accept me, can I go to the next bank? Can I find other banks that can work with my type of credit? So you don't feel like, oh, I can't do it because da-da-da-da-da. I can't start that business because da-da-da-da. Mrs., the big Sam's going to come after me. The taxi can do it. You're telling yourself all this story and you're stuck with somebody who is really not serving you. That business, that skill set, it doesn't always mean education, going to, a 4-year college. It can mean a 2-year college. It can mean a certification. It can mean going to hair school, to do nails, I always say, if I didn't do what I do in mental health right now, I would love to be an organizer, a cleaner, or a hairdresser, because I love hair I love aesthetics. Like, get those straight in, and even through that, you can build yourself. 'Cause finance is one of the things that keep us stuck in a lot of this toxic relationship, whether it's with your parents or with an intimate partner, or even with a child. If you're older and you're dependent on your children for finances, well, finances is a big deal. So you look at your finances. Drink your water while you're looking at your finances. I put my lipstick on when I'm going to look at my finances because it gives me strength and power to do it. I don't know. Sometimes I have to put heels on too. Just being real because it's hard. So those working therapy, working out, even if you're going to go to the gym, go walking, go hiking, go running with a friend, forming community of people. And thank you so much for checking my life, because it's all that's community, building community here, friendships that you can bounce off ideas. Like, what am I experiencing? Is that crazy? And it was like, yeah, totally, girl, totally, man. That sounds like crazy. Consider this. Even they can help you. They can point you to a direction that can help you. So check me out, follow me, like and share on TikTok, on YouTube, and let's keep the work on mental health going forward. Thank you, the 85% who said yes, they've experienced stonewalling and silent treatment. And I hope that some of the nuggets that I dropped today will be helpful for you to recognize it and start to doing the work to set those boundaries, to adjust, to pivot, and do all the work on yourself to heal your trauma that you experienced from having had to endure silent treatment and stonewalling. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week for another live, either on Monday or Wednesday. And on that note, have a great rest of the week. Bye.